Good evening. This is live, but this is unannounced. So this will just be on there recorded for later, unless somebody joins in. Might have somebody join us in a bit. I don't know. So welcome to I Can Science That. I just wanted to talk about the upcoming eclipse because we've got a lunar eclipse coming pretty soon, and I wanted to just spread the word to the folks that are out there. If you're interested in that kind of thing. And I think a few people who watch this channel are interested in that kind of thing. So let's take a quick look at what we've got coming. I am in the Los Angeles area. So let's do a screen share here. Screen share, go. So I'm in the Los Angeles area. Here is time and date. So you can, depending on where you are, you're going to get a different opportunity to possibly see this or maybe not see it. Let's look at Los Angeles for myself and the people near me. This is what we're looking for. They call it a blood moon sometimes because the light going through the edges of the atmosphere turns red, like a sunset or a sunrise. It has that reddish hue, and it will hit the moon. And so all the light that gets to the moon will be red when we're in the shadow, when the moon is in the shadow of the Earth. So that's what's going on. When is it going to be? It's going to be Wednesday, May 26th. And it starts at about 2 a.m. And it will continue until the maximum at 4:18 a.m. And so I'm not a morning person. So let me stress that that is Wednesday morning. So the 26th morning before you wake up on the 26th, right? So don't think that you'll get up on the 26th and then you'll watch it that night. No, it's going to be right before moonset, at least for the Los Angeles area on the 26th. So 4 a.m., be looking for that. And depending on where you are, you'll see it at different times. So who else gets lucky? Let's take a look. Who else gets to see stuff? Where else might you be? If you're further inland, I'm afraid you don't get as much of a view, but you can see a partial. So there'll be a partial in there inland. If you're up in Alaska, that'll be good. Asia, people in Asia will get to see this. I'm afraid our English friends, our European friends are not going to get to participate on this one. So, right, time and date shows the eclipse zone. Like if you're in Hawaii, oh man, you're getting a really good view in Hawaii. Maximum at 1:20 a.m., so slightly better time. And the duration of totality for them, 14 minutes. They get 14 minutes when the moon is completely in the shadow. The Earth is larger than the moon, and so its shadow is larger. You know how when the moon casts a shadow down on us, it's only a few miles across, and it's hard to get into the totality zone. Hey, Sean Hawkins is here. Welcome. Just talking about the upcoming eclipse, the 26th. If you happen to be in Hawaii, lucky folks in Hawaii are going to get a really good view of this thing for a very long period of time. Over here on the left coast, though, we are going to get Bobby. You'll be in Big Bear. Oh my gosh, yes, that'll be really good. Yeah, and if anybody wants to join in the stream with me and just come on and chat, let me know. We can open it up. But yeah, the Big Bear should be good. You look far enough on the edge of the coast there in Big Bear that you should be able to, if you've got a clear shot of the sky, because it's going to be low. That's the next thing we should probably talk about is where to see the thing. Let's pop to Stellarium and take a look. I've loaded up Stellarium here, and I've punched in the 26th, and here's 3 a.m. So it's already started. The lunar eclipse starts off pretty subtle. It just sort of darkens the moon as it goes into the shadow until it really hits that umbra, right? You got the umbra, the penumbra. And if there's any flat earth folks that join us later, we could talk about what that is. And there's some people, you know, they're convinced that that can't work, but but it does. And yeah, you should scope out before you go up there if you can, because up in Big Bear, obviously it's very wooded. So the moon is going to be very low. This is the thing. It's going to be pretty low before we see anything happening. So let's advance time. Let's fast forward time a little bit and watch as the moon, to see where the moon's going to be. As in Stellarium, they've got this simulated, which is fantastic. It's starting to turn red, and you can see that it's coming in from like the bottom left corner there. And when we hit, we're getting pretty close here. We're getting to totality, just about totality right there, about 4 o'clock. And you can see it's going to be pretty low in the southwest, right? Here's due south, here's due west, and that's the moon is in between there. So you're going to want a southwest view with no trees because it's pretty low. Like from my house, I'm not going to be able to see that. I'm going to have to go up the hill, I think. Yeah, and then the hard part is motivating myself. I got to motivate myself to get up at like 3 a.m. and drive up the hill. I think I'll be alone in my house. I don't think anyone else want to do that with me. But I'll go up and do that. So let's look at Stellarium here. If this is south and this is west, then that means I have a fisheye going on here. This is a wide angle. So let's zoom in more and see that part of the sky from a more realistic view, right? Realistic view would be if you hold out your hand at fully extended arm's length. Your thumb is bigger than the moon, right? So maybe your pinky, somewhere, one of your fingers will be the size of the moon. So that's how big it really will be. So how big is that? Like, let's say a little bigger. From where I'm standing, that's what that should look like. And let me lock on. So we'll automatically track it and see what does that look like. Let me back up a bit. So what we're looking for there is, at first it just kind of darkens, and then as the shadow passes over the moon, it should get that red look. And it'll crawl across the moon like so until it's fully, the maximum I think they said was 418, which I'm past now in Stellarium. And so yeah, we're just going to, here on the west coast, so Mendocino, I think, Sean, you should be able to see this too, right? It will just kiss the completed thing and then bounce, kind of comes in, kisses it, and bounces off. So we are lucky to just get in on the corner of it. So what else did I want to share? I want to share for those who aren't lucky enough, the Griffith Observatory is going to be broadcasting. They are promising us a live broadcast. So that'll be, that's in the Los Angeles area. That's near me. So they will be able to show you that view that we just described. And so anywhere in the world, you can log in and watch that broadcast. And I'm sure it will, of course, be recorded. If you want to sleep in and watch it later. So that's what I wanted to make sure everyone is aware that this thing is coming up, particularly us left coast folks are going to get to check that out. The European folks, sorry, you're going to have to watch it online. And Bobby's going to be up in the mountains, which that could be really good if you have a spot without a lot of trees, because the mountains, you'll be up away from the city lights. I'm just gonna be here local. I mean, it's not one of those things that you can't make it out with the naked eye. You can totally see it, so it's cool. Dan the Waterman in Hollywood. No, I don't know Dan the Waterman. Yeah, it's kind of low. Well, it's 4 a.m., right? The thing about the moon, you folks that are here in my channel with me, I'll stop the screen share. You folks that are in the channel with me are probably here because of your fascination with the flat earthers. And yeah, they don't understand this, so we could talk about it. It is fascinating and how it relates to that conversation. The full moon is always directly opposite from the sun, because that's how it gets to be the full moon. It's on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun. No, it's not exactly right. If it was exactly on the opposite side, then it would always be an eclipse. But despite what Sleeping Warrior famously said, eclipses don't happen that often. They only happen once in a while, because the moon is at an incline. It's not in the same plane as the Earth's sun. It's cocked a little bit. So as it goes around, it has to be in the same plane and at the opposite side at the same time, and then you'll get the lunar eclipse. But that means it's always during the full moon. Lunar eclipse can only happen during the full moon, and because it's at 4 a.m. and we know that the full moon is on the opposite side of the planet from the sun. Where's the sun at 4 a.m.? Well, it's thinking about rising, right? So the sun is a little bit below the horizon. It's a couple hours from sunrise, and that means it's a couple hours from moon set, right? So it's funny how that works. And we'll also get to see the shadow of the Earth going across the moon. The shadow of the Earth is going to go across the moon. It will be very round looking for some reason. And then it will just barely cover, from the projections for Los Angeles, it's just barely going to cover the moon, and then going to kind of bounce off and go back again. So yeah, be on the lookout for any turtle shapes in the shadows. or disc-shaped Earth in the shadows. It's an interesting phenomenon to consider. This is one of the classic reasons why we say we know that the Earth is round. Oh yeah, that's right. Let's see. Big Bear is on, which face is Big Bear on? I thought that was on the southwest face, wasn't it? No, I'm thinking of Lake Arrowhead. So yeah, it's worth a thing. Yeah. So I think it's worth a trip, Bobby. And if you can get the kids into it, it's worth seeing. But I don't know. How old are your kids? You have kids, right? The other side of Sanji. Okay. Yep. Oh, you're going solo, really? Oh, okay. You just going up to go up? Then you can definitely get away. Bring the camera, bring the tripod. Could be some good viewing. Excellent. Yeah, I'm jealous. Yeah, there will be another one coming up. Let me see. When's the next one? There's a couple this year. Let's see here. Eclipse. Like November though. Let's see. let's see, the super flower blood moon. Isn't it funny? They always do that. Okay, June, there's something, but I don't think that's it for us, is it? What does Earth Sky say? There's a solar eclipse coming. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. The solar eclipse. Solar eclipse is even more exciting than a lunar eclipse. June 10th. Don't think we get to see that, though, do we? Anybody looked at that one yet? So let's see. I'll look those up for us while we're here. Go away. I'll make that stop. Okay, June 10th. November 19th, partial eclipse. Yeah, annular eclipse. That's right. It's going to be an annular, and then another total eclipse on December 4th. That one's not visible from North America. So let's see. The June 10th one, I am seeing northern and northeastern North America. That's right. I remember seeing this on Dr. Becky. She mentioned this one. She showed the map. It's if you're in Canada, if you're in Canada, or the extreme northeast of, I think, the United States, you can maybe catch at least part of the June 10th one. But us Southern California folks not going to get to see that one. Then on November 19th, there is a partial eclipse of the moon. Will happen again. And I think us Pacific folks will see at least part of that one. So that's in November. And then the last one for this year is December 4th, which totally not for us, unless you're in Africa or, Antarctica. Apparently, Antarctica and Australia. There are some Australian folks who will get treated for a little eclipse in December at the end of the year. All right, so I just wanted to get the word out, make sure people are aware that's going to happen. And yeah, see if anybody showed up to say hi tonight. Hi, y'all. If you want, you know what? I could just put the invite right in there if anybody wants to join in. Are you guys interested in joining? Have a quick chat? I got to find it. There we go. I'll just do this, and I'm just going to put that right there. So if anybody wants to join in, just click that link. Yeah, I was hoping my flat earth buddy, Eric, I sent him an invite, but it was last minute, so I don't know if he can make it or not. Not set up for it. That's okay. That's cool. But yeah, I wanted to make sure because I hadn't heard a whole lot of talk about this. Obviously the lunar eclipse is a thing in flat Earth circles because, in the globe Earth model, it makes sense. The irony, of course, is that many of the flat Earth folks like to say that it doesn't make sense. And there's all kinds of arguments about every time there's an eclipse, you get all kinds of arguments that come out about it. Like, oh, how come, what's this umbra penumbra? That doesn't make sense to me. Or how come there's not one every month? Or, all kinds of crazy stuff. And the flip side, of course, is when you ask them, what do you think it is? I think the best answer they've got is we don't know. But I guess maybe, I wish Bob Nodell would talk to me publicly about it. But he doesn't want to. but those guys were really into the second sun. I don't know if anyone saw their discovery of the second sun. They discovered that there's a second sun in the sky, and that might be related to the eclipse, I think. Did you see that one, Bobby? So I don't know. I haven't really followed up with that since the original video. I watched their whole presentation on it, and I really thought I came to an understanding of Bob, at least, of how Bob thinks. Yeah, it's a solar telescope. I don't even need to tell you the story. If you haven't watched it and you've ever looked through a solar telescope, you know what they were seeing. Right? They point the telescope at the sun, and of course they've got an image of the sun. But if they point the telescope off the sun a little bit, they see, oh yeah, Wolfie did a thing. They see another picture of the sun, and it's not where the sun is. And they get very, very excited. That's the thing. It's you look at the sun, there's the sun there, and then they look over a little, oh, look, there's another sun that the telescope can see, but I can't see with my eyes. I can't see the second sun. I don't feel the heat from the second sun. It doesn't cast a shadow. The second sun does not cast a shadow, but the telescope can see the second sun. And they get very, very excited about that. And that gave me, I think that gave me a little bit of an insight into at least how Bob Nodell thinks, how his mind works a little bit. I was hoping that he would come on and talk to me about that, or, one of the other similar types of observations. We have talked, and yeah, we have talked, but he doesn't want to go, and talk publicly on, at least not on my channel. Maybe I could talk him into letting me go on his channel or something. But yeah, he popped on for comments a while back, and he got some pretty negative responses, and he just doesn't want to deal with that. So he's gone. As long as you guys are here. Speaking of that, speaking of negative responses, the last guest I did have on was a flat earther named Alan, and Alan has left. Alan has told me he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I guess I was too insensitive at one point. It was a miscommunication. I said I was pointing out that I don't even remember what it was exactly. I was pointing out something that he was laying out a story. He was saying something, and I was saying, yeah. I was too insensitive. Here's the thing. This is what you have to understand about how fragile this communication is. Alan was telling me something, and I said something like, well, unless you can come up with the actual recording, then it's just a story that you're telling me. And it's a story that I'm going to remain skeptical of until you show me the actual video. And I said, it seems like you're just making up a story. It seems like maybe you could be lying. I said something like that. And he took that to mean that I was calling him a liar. I didn't mean that to sound that way, but I understand how he could take it that way, right? And that's because the conversation is so fragile, because it's tense, right? Someone like Alan or Bob would see me as an opponent, as an adversary, and because I'm an adversary, anything that I say will be taken as if an adversary said it. And so when I said this thing about the suggestion that it seems like a lie, that was me calling him a liar. And then he got pretty upset about that. and then I didn't apologize very well. And he's right about that one. He's right. I didn't apologize well because I didn't understand. I thought we were talking about something else, to be honest. I didn't realize that he had thought I was calling him a liar. So anyway, so he's gone. He's not coming back. Maybe he'll come back someday. I don't know. He's welcome to come back, but that is how fragile this conversation is. Yeah. Well, it wasn't live. Everything was very pleasant live, but it was in a comment, a series of comments. And yeah, I can find it later. It was a series of comments on a video about, I don't even remember which video it was on because the comment was sort of off on a tangent a bit. It was one of those like moon denier type of things where, you know, as a flat earther, where he comes from, he's different from Bob. Where he comes from is a point, the government lies to me. And that's his center. That's his whole focus. This is the government lies, and therefore the Earth is flat. Because NASA is working so hard to convince me that it is not flat. Therefore, they must be lying about it. That kind of way of thinking. And so he was saying, you know, one of those the Van Allen belts type of thing. He was saying, you know, the Van Allen belts. I heard the astronauts saying that we can't go through the Van Allen belts. And I was trying to explain that when they say these things, they are any religious foundation. Yes, but unclear. Seems very much that it is religious, but we avoided the religious discussion. So I'm not sure what his religion is. Religion plays in very often with the flat Earth folks. You see that a lot, but it's not always. And the irony, of course, the irony I like to point out is that there is, as far as I know, there is no church, no official recognized church anywhere on the planet of any denomination that preaches flat Earth. None. There are billions of religious people on the planet. There are, you know, many Christian faiths, Muslim denominations, Jewish denominations. Those are all very, very popular, and none of them, you know, they all share that same lineage of books that the flat earthers are referring to, but none of those churches. And as far as I know, please correct me if there is one. I have not found one yet. If there's an actual church that teaches that the Earth is flat. There are churches that teach the Earth is 6,000 years old. Yeah, you are an evangelical. So Bobby, let me ask you. Does that mean young Earth? Are you a young Earther? Like 6,000 years old, God created the Earth in 6 days, type of deal. Because there's a lot of that in the evangelical stuff. But as far as I know, no flat Earth is taught anywhere. Even like Kent Hovind, who is very much a young Earth. Okay, so you're not. That's a good. You know, what I like to say whenever the conversation comes up is that science is for stuff that has evidence. So if there's evidence about it, that's a science topic, and religion is for stuff that doesn't involve evidence, right? It's not about that. It's about faith. right? It's about something else. It's about culture and faith. That's religion. That stuff goes in religion, and it's not about evidence. And so if a religious person wants to prove their faith is true using evidence, that's just no, that's not how you do that. Right? Science is, and if somebody wants to use faith for science, that doesn't belong there either. Right? And so science cannot disprove religion. It's not a thing that science can do. And I don't mean that to say that religion is definitely correct because science can. No, it just means that's not where science doesn't go there, right? And so if somebody wants to argue against evolution on a religious basis, that's not what religion does. Science does science, and religion does religion, and they don't have to butt heads, right? As long as they're not butting heads, everybody gets along, and that's what most of the majority religions, that's how they treat it as well. But yeah, you do get the flat earthers occasionally who see something in their own interpretation, and then so far, each one that I've asked has told me that no, their pastor and their denomination, their church, if they belong to one, and most of them do not, but those that belong to one will tell me that no, their church does not teach this, but it is something that they interpreted from the Bible themselves. Yeah. Yeah. So Bobby says, I tend to object to those fundamentalists who interpret the Bible literally and turn that interpretation into something creedal, as if faith is weak or false if you aren't a literalist. Yeah, that bugs me. The thing that gets me about that is it takes me back. I mean, I would love to talk to one sometime about that topic in a friendly way, in just a discussion way, not in an antagonistic way, because it takes me back to high school English class. And my high school English teacher, who finally reached me, like it was my senior year before I finally got it. I finally understood what these high school teachers were trying to tell me all along about how the stories that they made us read, it wasn't about what it actually said there. It wasn't to be taken literally. And I'm not talking about the religious stories. I'm talking about the stuff we did in high school, right? Remember high school English class? And they made you read this poem. And then they said, what was that poem about? Right? Like, I don't know, what's The Path Not Taken, for example. Everybody read that poem. And it's not about a man walking on a path. That's not what it's about, right? That's what your teacher would say. And if you were like me in the beginning of high school, you said, this is a load of horse poop. This is silly. It's obviously a poem about a man walking on a path. But then as you mature, hopefully you get to the point where you realize, no, it's about something else. It's about a journey through life. It's about making important decisions, right? And when you make that connection, then all of a sudden the Bible literalists, they seem to me like they are missing the point of the Bible, right? A good friend of mine, I talked to one time. He is a devout Catholic. Catholicism is strong in his family, and we were talking about the story of the loaves and the fishes was his favorite story from the Bible. Yeah. If I'm rambling and it's annoying you, I can quit. But let me share the loaves and the fishes. Stop me if you don't want to hear about loaves and fishes. But the loaves and the fishes story, if you don't know it, is Jesus comes on some folks, and they have like a couple of loaves of bread. I don't remember the details. Not enough food to go around. They don't have enough food. They have a couple of fishes, a couple of loaves of bread. And Jesus performs a miracle that he shares it out amongst the entire crowd. And lo and behold, there is enough to go around. And the literal interpretation of that is that Jesus performed a magic trick and he multiplied the food. But that isn't a very good basis for a religion, right? The non-literal interpretation is much more powerful. In the non-literal interpretation, Jesus taught people to share, right? He said, hey, there's very little. So if we're going to make this go around, everyone just takes a small amount and we'll have enough for everyone that way. And right, but it doesn't literally say that in the Bible. And so if you're a literalist, I've often felt that you are missing something really fundamental in there. So yeah, I think Alan is a hardcore conspiracy guy. Conspiracies and flat Earth, they intersect very tightly. I mean, obviously, you can't believe in flat Earth and not believe there's at least some amount of conspiracy. And so he's a hardcore conspiracy guy. And the thing with that one, the conspiracy folks that I object to, if I can use that word, I strongly disagree with them on one particular point, and that is the way they see NASA employees and everyone else as an other, as a they. Is not, they don't see them as one of us. They see them as one of them. And I think if anything describes flat Earth in a nutshell, that is it. It is an us versus them. And once you start seeing other human beings as a them, as opposed to one of us, it's very easy to demonize them and to dismiss them. And what we see amongst the conspiracy theories and the flat earthers is like, NASA lies. All those people are liars. And again, bringing it back to the Christian thing, you're not supposed to say that about your neighbors, right? You're not supposed to go around accusing your neighbors of being bad people. I mean, I understand you have suspicions, but that is very much explicitly against the rules to say, hey, that guy lied, when you don't know. And the truth is, you don't know, right? He acted weird. Okay, he acted weird. He said something I didn't understand. Okay, he said something you didn't understand. You could say those things. You could say, I don't get how that works. Could you please explain it to me? But no, once you see them as an other, as someone who is not your neighbor anymore, then that's where the hate starts. And a lot of times you hear flat earthers talk about the love and how they feel embraced, and they it's not about hate. Some of them just rage and hate, right? We know those, but some of them don't. Some of them are very opposite of that. But what they don't realize is that when they say the moon landings were faked, that there are thousands of people that they are calling a liar, right? They're calling people that worked very hard on this, and they live next to us, right? I like to point out one of my daughter's friends at school, her dad works at JPL because I'm close to JPL. At least, I mean, he's the one I know. There's a few others as well. I don't want to name any names, but yeah, there people that work at JPL they work on these programs. I've met them. I know them. They are our neighbors. They are our neighbors, right? All these people and everyone else, right? Pilots and cartographers and weathermen and the guy who comes to install the satellite dish on the roof of your house. These are all people who they're not lizards, right? They are human beings doing the best they can, and they don't really need someone calling them liars. So I think I'll probably wrap it up there unless you had anything to talk about, Bobby. You said you've never heard that. You mean about the loaves and the fishes bit? Yeah, I thought that was really, really wonderful, really eye-opening, and it really changed my outlook on how you can interpret these things in a much better way, and how they were clearly intended. When you go back and read it, you say you are an evangelical, so I suggest you go back and read that one. And my personal favorite is the wedding. Go back and read the water to wine. Go back and read about water to wine, and tell me if you don't discover that Jesus didn't turn any water into any wine. He didn't. He didn't do that. He never turned water into wine. He didn't. He served water, and he taught the people to stop complaining about it. That's what he did. He taught, well, actually he taught the people that were worried that they had run out of wine. He taught them that that's not what's important here. That's what he taught them, because the people who he served the water to, they were happy with it. They loved it. They were, yeah, this is fine. That's how it went, right? And so read that story again and see if you don't agree that the literal translation is that Jesus was a party dude who wouldn't let the party end, right? And that's not the basis of a religion, right? Jesus didn't want us to run out of wine. No, that isn't what the story is about. The story is about Jesus taught us, hey, it's not about the wine. It's about community. And all the people in the crowd already understood that. It was only the hosts that were worried that, the people in the crowd would be upset that we had run out of wine. The people in the crowd didn't care. That's the way I read it now. I mean, obviously I didn't at first, and I don't think most people do. And I think once you read it that way, it's a much better story. It's a much better story that way. So yeah, don't take it literal. It's not good that way. Hey, where's Wally's here? Hey, Wally, I'm probably just wrapping up. Let me do a crash back through the Stellarium stuff. And actually, Wally, yes, we did. That's where I ran into you, Bobby. I started off in the Flat Earth Society thinking foolish things. I thought that, like, I think most of us think when we get into this, we think that, oh, they just don't know, right? They just haven't heard that the stars rotate the wrong way in the southern hemisphere. They've never heard that. And all I have to do is point that out. They'll go look it up, right? They won't believe me, but they'll go look it up. And when they go look it up, boom, no more flat earther. I was very foolish about that. And Bobby, I think you disagreed, but I came to the conclusion, I quit going to the Flat Earth Society because I came to the conclusion, those guys aren't even serious. That like Bishop is just a troll. And Pete is just a debater. He just wants to debate. That's what I decided. The one that did it for me was when we were in a conversation with, I don't remember who their name was, but somebody was saying that the Mercator map, the Mercator projection, is the flat Earth map. Yeah, 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 me too. But the Mercator projection, they said, was the flat Earth map, and I'm like, oh, okay. The problems with that are so obvious. I was like, the scale doesn't work, and they said, oh yeah, you just have to use different scales in different parts, but otherwise it's perfectly flat. And I was like, that's like the literal definition of a distortion, right? That's distorted. You can't use the same scale everywhere. And they're like, no, that's not distortion. It's like, okay, you're not even serious. And then when I was like, okay, so what about the Pac-Man thing? You go off the one side of the map and you come back on the other side of the map. And they said, no, you just slide the map. It's like, yeah, you're not serious. There's no way you believe that that's true. So yeah, and I got myself a ban from Pete, just like a week ban, but I just never went back. I don't think I deserved the ban, but I was definitely getting frustrated with them. So I'm kind of done. I think I probably earned the ban by calling him out as not being a true flat earther. Because he's not. He isn't. I don't think Bishop is either. Yeah. Well, I think that's true, because the Flat Earth Society is so famous. They get on the news and stuff, and then we all of us outsiders who aren't part of this, that's our first exposure, and so we go and we check it out, and we go in and we assume that's what flat Earth is all about. And it's only after some exploration that we start to discover that there's at least three, I'm going to say there's at least three flat Earth groups that are completely separate. There's the YouTube folks, and there's different factions of those. And then there's the Flat Earth Society folks, and they even have two factions, at least they used to. And then there's like, I've also found that there's like other folks. There's like Discord and Facebook and Quora folks that doesn't seem to be a lot of crossover between the different channels. And yeah, the YouTubers are absolutely convinced. All of them are convinced that the Flat Earth Society is disinformation. And I'm not going to go so far as to say disinformation, but I will say I understand where they're coming from. I don't think the Flat Earth Society is actually genuine. I think there are genuine flat earthers on the Flat Earth Society, but I think that their management is not being genuine. Okay, so anyway, let me pop this up again. Sharing my screen. Boing. Make that go small. Let's take a look and see if Wally's still here with us. Yeah, Wally, you're gonna get. Which side of Australia are you on? Are you in Perth? Are you over here in Sydney? Because if you're in Sydney, you're definitely going to get to see the big lunar eclipse, and actually, you're going to get the best view of any of us by far, if that's where you're at. The east coast of Australia gets to see a full eclipse at a reasonable time in the evening on the 26th. So 9/11 is when it begins to be full, and it lasts for a good long while. So you're going to get a complete lunar eclipse. Let's see if you're still even here. Well, if you're there, you're going to get, and the other folks there in Sydney, going to get a really nice view of a full, Okay, Brisbane. Brisbane, that's over on the other side, right? Brisbane's up here somewhere? No. I don't know. Brisbane. Brisbane. Look at it, one on the other side. Okay, so that is on the East Coast. So, yep, Wally's going to get good views. Hopefully, Wally, you can share some video for us or something, maybe. You can point your camera up there and see if you see the shadow of a turtle going across the moon or something like that. Okay, so that's Australia. The folks over here on the other side, if there's anybody over here, they won't get totality, but they'll get a nice partial. Although no, it looks like they do get a total. At 7 p.m. The sun will barely be down, so they'll be very low. So really good views over here on the East Coast. Anybody in Hawaii, this would be a good time to be in Hawaii. Definitely wishing I'd planned a trip to the Big Island or something right this week. That would be awesome to go up Mauna Kea and be up there for that. That would be really wicked. Who else gets treated to it? Japan gonna get a little bit. Alaska, the whole west coast of the U.S. gets it. South America, if you're at the very tip, not bad. But yeah, Europe is getting nothing. So Europe won't get to participate on this one. So yeah, this one's for the west coast of the United States and the east coast especially, but pretty much all of Australia will get to see a full eclipse, lunar eclipse. So that's when the moon turns all red. It'll look more or less, that's what we're looking for right there. Antarctica, yes, let's not forget the penguins, our penguin pals. The penguin pals will get to see this. Yeah, look at that. They'll see the whole thing, right? And for 15 points, can anyone tell me why is all of Antarctica able to see this eclipse? Why is that? Is it almost like the moon doesn't set down there for some reason? How bizarre. How bizarre. Why is that? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to call it a night. It was fun talking to you. I really just wanted to get the word out for people to make sure they're aware. If you're interested, there's going to be an eclipse. And if you can't watch the thing, I'm going to definitely check out Griffith Observatory. I'm going to try and watch it, right? I'm going to try and watch it, but then I'll check to see if they have, recordings. Certainly YouTube will have lots of recordings, always will. Event timeline for the Griffith Observatory. Actually, no, they're not going to let people in. No, that'd be crazy. That'd be awesome if they were letting people in, but no. Diagram. Hopefully, let's cross our fingers for clear skies. All right, I'll be looking for it. Good night, everybody. See you next time.